This morning I managed to get on James O'Brien's show on LBC. He was on there, he was joking about and making fun of the facts that white working class children are underperforming at school. So I phoned in, and to my surprise, the girl I spoke to put me on the show. And I tried to point out to him that the point he'd been trying to make was that when black children were underperforming a couple of decades ago, that people said that it was the fault of parenting and cultural things like that, and that the same people are now saying that it's the state's fault that white working class children are underperforming. And he was laughing about that, and he thought he was very clever. So I decided to phone in to point out that when black children were underperforming in schools, there was no extra help given to white children. They were underperforming due to a combination of lots of different factors, none of it anyone else's fault. It's basically intelligence, cultural things, parenting, and lots of things like that. Peer pressure, cultural things like rap music, and all sorts of things. But now, when it's been reversed and it's now white children underperforming, there are actually reasons that are caused by the government and the system and the teachers and things like that. That teachers are given targets, and if at a school, if the black children were doing a lot worse than the white children, the school would be failing for it on Ofsted reports and things like that. He asked me for examples of where they're given extra help, and I said things like black Saturday schools to help them catch up with education, and internships. I actually said internment by mistake, but there you go, the pressures of being on live radio. And so then he came up with the idea. He said, well, have you tried to set up anything like that for white children? Which is an absolutely ridiculous thing to say, because he knows as well, or almost as well as I do, that would be illegal. So I said, whenever anyone's tried to set up an organisation for white people, they're met with opposition, and it gets shut down. He asked for an example of when an organisation for white people had been shut down, and I pointed out the BNP. He didn't specifically mention education, and then he started laughing and joking that the BNP weren't an education system and things like that, which I'm fully aware of. It wasn't part of the question he asked me. But then I was cut off, and he was joking around. He said I had a PhD in stupidity, which I'm assuming that's an honorary PhD, not a proper one, because just being a posh bloke off the radio, I don't think you can give out proper PhDs, but thanks anyway. But what I'd like to point out is, in 2018, when I was living in Croydon, one of the Croydon MPs, Sarah Jones, she wasn't my MP, but she was one of the other Croydon MPs, she set up a course to give kind of like an internship or something, to give work experience to blacks, regardless of whether they're working class, middle class or upper class, to give them a leg up and help into newspapers, to become a newspaper journalist, because she claimed they was underrepresented, even though the white working class people are it's more of a class issue than a race issue. The white working class are even more underrepresented working in newspapers than ethnic minorities are. And the fact is that, so this internship that she set up was open to black people regardless of their social mobility levels, whether they were working class, middle class, upper class, but was barred for all white people, regardless of whether they was working class, whether they were orphans, whether there was anything like that. And also, I've had a quick look online, and there are lots of different charities and organisations that receive money from the government that help black people. So my argument is, even though he laughed at it without even hearing me out properly, is that white working class children are underperforming in schools because of the system. Whereas when it was the black children that were underperforming, it wasn't the fault of the system. It was just something that was happening due to whether it's genetics or whatever. I nearly forgot to say I screen recorded the conversation off the internet, so I've got the talk with James OBrien, so I'll play that now. It's quite interesting.
Tony's in Belfast. Tony, what would you like to say?
Hi, I'd like to point. Thanks for having me on the show, James. I'd like to point out. You said that there's like that it's the same thing when people years ago were talking about blacks underachieving, and now they're talking about the white working class underachieving, and how it's the same people complaining now that weren't complaining then.
Yes.
I'd like to point out that when it was blacks underachieving, there was no extra help given to white people at the time, whereas now there's lots of initiatives to give help to black people that are underachieving, to black people,
like what?
Not even underachieving, but blacks in schools.
Like what?
Giving lots of extra help. There's extra courses for them.
Like what?
There's internments.
No, what? Tell me about them. I don't know about these courses. When were you last at school?
93, I left school.
Oh, so what are the courses that you're talking about?
Well, there was like black Saturday school to give them extra help to catch up when they're behind on things. The teachers gave them extra help.
You're talking about in 1993 now.
Well, it still goes on now,
right?
But
so why don't have you set up one of these things?
No, I haven't.
For white kids?
No.
Why not?
There's no funding, is there, for any white groups? All ethnic groups get specialist funding, whereas anything set up just for white people would be shut down.
Yeah, the problem with this, Tony, is that you're talking gibberish.
Well, I'm not, am I?
Well, no, you categorically are. Could you give me an example of a white group that was shut down?
Well, the British National Party, for a start. It's not been shut down, but it was... It came under a lot of pressure and it was forced through the court.
Well, you know what? Every day's a school day. I had no idea the British National Party was an educational institution dedicated to advancing the causes of undereducated or forgotten children. But you crack on, mate. Well,
anyway, I'm going to go into more detail on this. I'm doing a live stream on Thursday at 7:30. That'll be on Twitter. Sorry, X. Facebook and YouTube, so everyone's welcome to tune in and to comment, and whether you agree with me or disagree with me, you're welcome to come on there. And to be fair, I was about to say I'll accept people who've got different opinions to me and will gladly listen to them, but I actually even more than I'd particularly like to hear from people with different opinions. If anyone thinks that black kids aren't given extra help than white kids in schools, please come on and say so. Or if anyone thinks that in the 70s and 80s and 90s that white kids were given extra help, if anyone thinks that, please come on and say so. Anyway, but thanks very much for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe.